In the meantime, you're pelting them with rocks because like the only thing that uses any of your actions is the rock thing.
Yes, that's a huge perk of this. If you can get all the modes to work
And
on
it's
this
a
thing, it
bonus
is
action.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
You bonus action throw a rock, and at the beginning of your turn, trees. At the end of your turn, roots. Awesome. That's awesome.
Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Wrath of Nature.
Nature.
Okay. Yes.
This is a 5th level evocation from Xanathar's Guide to Everything for Druids and Rangers. Cast out of an action, range of 120 feet. Verbal somatic components, concentration, up to a minute. You call out the spirits of nature to rouse them against your enemies. Choose a point you can see within 120 feet. The spirits cause trees, rocks, and grasses in a 60-foot cube centered on that point to become animated until the spell ends. Grasses so this then affects the trees, rocks, and grasses. Those 3 separate entities do stuff.
Yes.
And also roots and vines.
All right.
We'll touch on this as we get there. So grasses and undergrowth. Any area of ground in the cube that is covered by grass and undergrowth is difficult terrain for your enemies. Not for you, just your enemies. Trees. At the start of each of your turns, each of your enemies within 10 feet of any tree in the cube makes a dex saving throw or takes 46 slashing damage from whipping branches. Roots and vines. At the end of each of your turns, one creature of your choice that is on the ground in the cube must succeed on a strength saving throw or become restrained until the spell ends. A restrained creature can use its action to make a strength athletics check against your spell save DC and impact on a success. And finally, rocks. As a bonus action on your turn, you can cause a loose rock in the cube to launch at a creature you can see within the cube. Make a ranged spell attack against the target. On hit, its target takes 3d8 non-magical bludgeoning damage, and it must make a strength save or fall prone.
This is fun.
It is very fun. This is really cute. I am not high on it based off of tier and based off of niche. So, like, what does it take for this to be worth the cast? Is, I guess, the first question we should ask, right? It's a 5th level slot. It's concentration. Yes. Rangers get it at level 17.
All right, sure, it's better on Druids than Rangers.
By a lot, right? Like, it's not even close. It's by a lot.
No, yeah.
So, okay, let's look at 9th level Druids. I think if you can get multiple creatures hit by trees and throw a rock every round, it's fine.
Well, the trees, they don't have to, there's no saving throws, there's no attack rolls. They just take the damage. So
at the start of each of your turns, each of your enemies in the 10 feet of any tree must make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, crap. I should read these more carefully.
It's okay. That's why I thought I read them ahead of time with you out loud for the audience. But yeah, I understand. You don't listen to me. I don't either.
All right. Go on.
Well, like...
So that is a big if.
It's a really big if. So I think you need rocks, you need trees for this to do damage. And I don't think trees are going to be particularly consistent. Grass and undergrowth, difficult terrain is going to be really iffy. Like, paths exist, terrain, like rubble exists. So you want to be using this in a forest, ideally. And that's still fairly narrow. So, like, roots and vines are probably the best of them. But that is also definitely going to be the least common, right? Overwhelming roots and vines, I don't think are going to be crawling all over all those structures of time and space.
Well, you're in a forest.
You're not always in a forest.
You are when you're casting this.
And how many times are there going to be exactly roots where you need them, exactly vines where you need
them?
There's
roots all over the place. Roots spread wide. If you're in a forest,
deep.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't give a depth that they have to come up from. I mean,
it does just say on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, hold on. I should reframe my thinking about this. I'm thinking that you have to have these things in space to do it. What if I just said the trees one, definitely you have to have the trees in the space?
Yes.
That one definitely is the case. Undergrowth is also definitely needs to be in the space.
Again, forest, I mean, have trees pretty close together, and their branches spread out wide. I'd say trees are pretty much everywhere. This goes 60-foot cube. Yeah.
In forest.
Again, you're not casting this in the desert.
Right. So what I'm wondering, and Is there a world outside of forest where I can cast this, or is this the thing I only prepare for the woodland adventure? And in the woodland adventure, what tier are we in?
All right. No, you're casting this in the woods. I don't think you're going to cast this like in the grasslands where there's a tree.
So
I
roots
mean,
and
you could
vines,
technically.
I think roots and vines may be good enough because at the end of each of your turns, you pick a thing in the area to make a strength save agnostic of the vegetation around it to restrain. So you kind of get a minute of a restraint a thing in the space every single round, right? That's
Now,
kind of the floor.
if they're restrained, do they automatically fail dex saving throws?
Something to that effect.
Because then the trees become a lot more effective.
Yes, if that is true. That sounds like something that could be true.
And also,
Restrained.
go
The
ahead.
creature has disadvantage on dex saves. The creatures are more effective against the restrained creatures.
Yes. But also, if you can get a creature restrained and they consistently fail their athletics checks, I mean, you can keep using that every time and get another creature restrained, right?
Yeah.
So then you get trees beating on everybody with, they're disadvantaged to their saving throws. In the meantime, you're pelting them with rocks because, like, the only thing that uses any of your actions is the rock thing.
Yes. That's a huge perk of this. If you can get all the modes to work
And
on
it's
this
a
thing, it
bonus
is
action.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
You bonus action throw a rock, and at the beginning of your turn, trees. At the end of your turn, roots. Awesome. That's awesome.
If you cast plant growth, does that count as grass or
I don't care because that's not the effect that matters to me, right? Right? Like if I'm casting plant growth over this area anyway, I'm using my concentration on that. Correct?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So if someone else is doing that, that is a
Yeah.
druid. And then you have two druids in the party, which is very rare.
Yeah. All right. So forget I said that.
Yeah, shelf that idea. It
So we got
could
grass
stack,
and
I guess.
undergrowth. We 60-foot
Bob,
cube. Yes.
I'm sorry I made fun of you. Plant growth is instantaneous duration. That sure doesn't take concentration.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. It makes it no okay. Plant growth becomes makes normal plants overgrown. It doesn't create plants.
Well, that's fine. We got enough plants. We're in the forest.
So now you're saying, does that become undergrowth? That's the subsequent question that I made fun of?
Yeah.
I would rule
I think
yes,
so.
but I don't think it's specific.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes. But in that case, we got the plant growth, whatever kind of movement restriction that has, on top of difficult terrain, which is fun.
I mean, no one's going anywhere.
No one's going anywhere. They're all getting beaten by trees.
You can kind of be like a druid version of Jigsaw, where everyone's just, you want to play a game and stuck in purgatory being cut to pieces by little trees and strangled by roots and having rocks thrown at them for torment and torture.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm seeing. This is kind of an ambush thing. Like, this is I don't think you're going to use this too much when you're already in combat, but maybe you might, because then, like you said, it does restrict your enemies. So all of you and your allies have free movement through all this, which is fun.
Not the same for plant growth. Things are still very slow during plant growth. So, keep that in mind.
But you can make your own, can you like shape plant growth so you have paths? Or am I thinking of a different one?
You may exclude one or more areas within the size from being affected. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Okay. So like where I land on this is in the environments where you get the full Monty, it seems amazing. Right? It seems genuinely really great. Bonus action.
I don't know about amazing. I think it seems fun and almost effective enough to warrant the 5th level spell.
It's a restraint every single round. It can retarget the same thing that's freed, and it forces it to waste actions on a strength save. That's is the easiest to use. I thought it was the hardest to use, which is why I started much lower on this, but that's the easiest to use. On top of that, you get difficult terrain. On top of that, you get area of effect slashing damage. On top of that, you get a bonus action for 3D attack. That all adds up to being, I think, worth a 5th level slot for sure. Now, environments will shape that, and I don't know if you're going to ever get enough of this outside of very specific environments to make it worth it. Like, I don't think I'm just casting this for roots and vines, right?
No, you're talking about like
just
a tree in the desert.
Yeah, like do I cast this with one tree, a few rocks, and roots and vines. Is that good enough? And the answer might be maybe. But the problem is also, this is concentration. You've got so many other amazing concentration spells out there that are competing with this, right?
Yeah, and I think most of the time you're going to be using those. But if you are in the woods and this comes up, I think you're going to use this just because you want to and it's fun.
It looks really, really cool.
Yeah. Even as a 17th level ranger, I might use this because it's fun. If I'm feeling pretty good about the encounter already.
The Tarrasque just kind of looks down at you, puzzled as to what you're doing as the trees are like flailing around.
I just I want to torment them a little bit before I go in for the kill.
Sure. It is nice that you can still make extra attack with this thing as ranger. That's kind of cute, I guess. I don't know, Bob. I think I'm gonna give this a 3 because I think its average use case is gonna be fine. If its average use case is gonna be rock and roots and vines and rocks and roots and vines, all within that 60 for cube is kind of small though. Oh god, I don't know. The spell's messy. The spell's messy, and I don't know what to do with it.
60-foot cube's not that small. I mean,
it's way smaller than 60-foot radius sphere, right? It is a 60-foot sided cube.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's not as big as 60-foot radius sphere, but it's still 60 feet is pretty big.
It's a little bit bigger than a fireball.
Yeah. And it's in the difficult terrain is going to make it hard to get out. They're going to have to dash.
But like in environments where this is already good, they're going to tend to be more open anyway, right? Like in the open forest, things that are moving quickly or moving through the forest at all, if they see this area go down, can go around it pretty easily because this is only good in environments that are relatively spacious, where there's lots of trees around, where there's lots of undergrowth and nature, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not going to be that restrictive as to where things are able to move, right? Does that kind of make sense?
A little bit. No. All right, repeat that.
So where you would want to cast this is outdoors.
Yes.
Right? Outdoors is where the least restrictive areas are. When area control spells tend to be great when your opponents don't have options as to where they're able to move. Area control spells are usually at their best whenever they're restricted within a specific space. And this, while its area is like sizable, is going to be comparatively smaller than it would be in like a dungeon corridor or inside of a temple or whatever, right? Yeah. So like things are not going to, I don't think, have that much of a trouble getting out of this and navigating around it, given that it's outdoors most of the time.
But I'm picturing you casting this centered on whoever you want to harass.
They're not all going to be in the center of it though. So you're like getting a couple of them, 1 or 2 have to dash, right. The rest get out.
Yeah. I think almost everybody's got to dash. Some of them might make it out. But the ones that are nearest the edge, those are the ones you grab with the roots.
That's also assuming no fly speeds. It's making a lot of assumptions for a spell that's happening at 9th level. Yeah. If it's I think there's more caveats here than it looks.
And I'm not saying there's no fly. You might not get everybody, but you get a bunch of them, and the guy with the fly speed gets away. Okay, lightning bolt that guy.
Commoners, let me know your thoughts on where is this usable and how much do you need out of this to justify the 5th level slot? Like to the point where I don't know. I've never casted this over conjure woodland beings and stuff unless I don't deliberately am hamstringing myself, right? And I have done that, but I'm happy to hamstring myself to not use the powerful busted, really headachy summon stuff. This is a spell that I would probably reach towards after that. And then I still am unsure of how good it is. I'm gonna go with a comfy 3.
Play with this one.
I definitely would need to play with this.
I'm gonna give it an irresponsible 4, just because it makes me happy.
It's stone useless in so many environments.
Oh, absolutely, yes. The caveat that 4 is for encounters in the woods where this is useful, not for pirate ships.
Oh god. The Aquatic Adventures just doesn't actually have text.
No. All right. Yes, 4 for fun.
Definitely a really sweet spell. Glad this thing exists.
Yeah, me too. All right, that was Wrath of Nature. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.